What no one tells you about being a startup CEO. I thought I was really prepared to be a startup CEO. After all, I'd run and grown several different businesses to well over $100 million in ARR. I'd been an entrepreneur in residence for a San Francisco-based venture capital fund. I thought I knew what it took to be a startup CEO. Yet, I was still surprised by many things I encountered as a first-time CEO. And that's what today's video is all about. I'll share with you the 10 most important things that I wish I knew before I became a startup CEO. I hope you like it. Hi, I'm Brett. On my channel, I help early stage startup CEOs like you raise money and grow your startup. So if this sounds like you, then hit the subscribe button and the bell so you get notified every time I release a new video. Let's get started, and let's start with number 1 on the list. Number 1, every word you speak matters. Congratulations. I don't know whether you realized it, but you're now an actor. Your stage is your office. Let me give you an example of this. I was in my office late one Friday afternoon. We had our company meeting at lunchtime earlier in the day. Jeroen, our VP of engineering and my co-founder, walked into my office. He said, "One of my guys was worried because you frowned when you answered the question about revenue." I frowned. I said, "I don't remember frowning." "Yes." He thought you frowned. And so he thought things were really bad. I was laughing at this point, but this anecdote just shows you how everything you say, everything you do, every gesture you make, every email you send, all of it will be scrutinized over and over again by your team. Your team will look for meaning where there is none. Your team will wonder why you left the office at 4:30 p.m. That's why you are now an actor. You are literally on stage every second. You don't have the luxury of even taking 1 second off. Now, let's move to number 2 on my list. Number 2, no, the market doesn't immediately notice you exist. I think one of the most jarring things for me was just how difficult it was to build a following and a brand for our business. And what makes it even more jarring in my case is I knew going in it was going to be hard, and yet I was still surprised at how hard it was. You'll be ecstatic the first time you get 100 visitors to your website in one day. You'll be ecstatic the first time you get a customer. You'll truly understand why restaurant owners frame that first dollar bill they get. This leads directly to number 3 on my list. Number 3, getting to $1 million per year in revenue is really, really hard. I had built several businesses to 0 to greater than $100 million before I started my company. So I had pretty high expectations that getting to $100 million was the goal. Little did I know how unbelievably hard getting to just $1 million would be. You underestimate everything when you start a company. You underestimate how much money you need, and you'll underestimate how difficult it is building a brand. So, is it any wonder that you'll be surprised at how difficult it is getting just $1 million per year in revenue? It shouldn't be, but it is. And this leads directly to number 4 on my list. Number 4, you really do have to be 100x better than your closest competitor to win. You're a small startup. The world has existed quite well without you and your company. The only way to cut through the noise is being significantly better than your competitors. I learned this one the hard way. Our first products were maybe 30% better than the competition, and they didn't sell well. And our second generation products were 3x to 10x better, and they sold well, but our third generation products were 100x better. They were groundbreaking products, and they sold really, really well. And that's the point. Strive to make the decision to use your product or service a no-brainer for your customers. For more on making it a no-brainer, let's move to number 5 on my list. Number 5, it's hand-to-hand combat when you're trying to win a big deal. Martin, one of our best engineers, said to me exactly that. It's hand-to-hand combat, getting a big customer to buy our products. And Martin was right. It can truly be really difficult getting big customers to buy your products. Think about it. All your competitors, and especially your larger competitors, want that business too. That's why it's usually a better choice for startups to go after underserved markets that might be a little smaller. Now, let's move to number 6 on my list. Number 6, hiring a great VP of sales is unbelievably hard, and hiring a great VP of sales is unbelievably important. We cycled through 3 VPs of sales in 4 years. The first VP of sales was a co-founder who would have been great, but he just didn't have the energy and drive necessary to do the job. The second VP of sales just wasn't strong enough. He tried really hard, but family issues derailed him. The third VP of sales came highly recommended, but he was the wrong guy. Why were we so inept when it came to finding a great VP of sales? That's right. I have to step up and take the blame. It was my fault. I was the CEO who hired all 3 VPs of sales. The reality is that a really great VP of sales is not going to be interested in working at your startup until you get to some level of scale, typically between 1 million and 10 million in ARR. So you're better off without a VP of sales until you get to that point, which means that you, even if you have no prior sales experience, will be the most effective salesperson your company has, bar none. That was a big surprise. Now, let's move to number 7 on my list. Number 7, this one might be the saddest one. Expect some sort of power play every time. Every single time you're about to close your funding. One of the saddest things to me about my experience building our company was the drama around each fundraising event. And I don't mean the external drama of dealing with investors because you expect there to be drama dealing with investors. I mean the unexpected internal drama of dealing with employees and co-founders leveraging the fundraising to attempt to get various things, usually more money or power. For example, 2 of my co-founders, one was a friend for over 20 years, demanded that I create an office of the president with them or they would quit. All major decisions would be agreed to by the 3 of us in this scheme. I refused and they backed down. I'll quit if I don't get what I want is always the threat. And your answer always has to be no after listening to their grievances, whatever they are, always. It will take all of your skill not to give in because losing a key employee before you close funding could cause you to lose your funding. It's tough, I know, but you have to find a way through the abyss. Now let's move to number 8 on my list. Number 8, your investors will likely have surprisingly little sense of urgency over you closing your funding. You've just signed a term sheet. You've been raising funding for close to a year and funds are really low. And you want to get the money into your bank account as fast as possible before your new investor changes their mind. Plus, your new investor is excited to get started putting their money to work, or so you would expect. There are millions of dollars at stake, but your existing investors move like snails. You have closing documents that need their attention and they delay signing. A day goes by, and then another day goes by before they sign the documents. All the while, you are sweating bullets to get your funding closed. That's the sad reality that you are the only one with a sense of urgency to close your funding. Now let's move to number 9 on my list. Number 9, you'll find out your team is more resilient than you think. One of the most surprising things you'll learn is how resilient your team really is. I certainly did. The way you build up your team's resilience is through your transparency and vulnerability as a leader. Share with your team the bad stuff as well as the good stuff. You'll likely be surprised at the positive response your team has to adversity. One word of caution before you lay your soul bare: never, never show your fear or panic about what's going on, however bad it is. Steady at the wheel is your mantra. It's all part of the plan. Somehow, you want to appear to be in control even if you're scared to death on the inside. Now, let's move to number 10 on my list. Number 10, your investors expect you to screw up, especially if you are a first-time CEO. I'll never forget listening to some of the partners at Crosslink Capital, the VC fund where I was an entrepreneur in residence, talk about first-time CEOs. The quote was this: "And of course, the CEO is going to make hundreds of mistakes." That was the consensus view. Your investors are expecting you to make mistakes, but there are 3 things you need to remember when you make mistakes. Number 1, never surprise your investors. In other words, don't hide your mistakes. Most importantly, big mistakes from your investors. And number 2, tell your investors about major problems before you have a board meeting. Then your investors will not be surprised about the problem in front of the other board members. This is really important. Trust me on this one. And number 3 on my list, number 3, learn from each mistake. Then you will not repeat the mistakes and you'll get smarter. Now, if this content is resonating with you, then please hit the like button right now. One final thought. You will never be closer to another group of people again in your career. Building a company from the ground up is an intense experience. You go through so much, and it is, as I just said, so intense. There's a bond that forms between you and your team that will be there forever. And that's why building a company is so special and so enjoyable. For all the problems, for all the late nights, for all the near-death experiences. It's the feeling that you and your team are doing something really special together. And nobody is going to get in your way. Now, I have 2 more things for you today. First, my free startup pitch deck template. It has all the slides you need to develop an awesome pitch deck. Click the link below to get yours for free. Second, join my free group of startup CEOs Zero to Pitch. It's a community for startup CEOs focused on growing their companies and raising funding for their companies. Click the link below to join. Finally, click the subscribe button to get notified every time I release a new video. I'm Brett at brettjfox.com. Thanks for watching today. Take care. Bye.